Disciplining your mind is one of the most powerful steps you can take toward transforming your life because everything you achieve, overcome, or create begins with the thoughts you choose to focus on. Your mind is the command center of your actions, emotions, and decisions, and when you learn to guide it with intention instead of letting it wander in doubt, distraction, or fear, you elevate your entire existence. Discipline of the mind is not about controlling every thought. It's about directing your attention toward what strengthens you instead of what weakens you. It's about choosing focus over chaos, purpose over impulses, and clarity over confusion. Transformation begins the moment you decide to take ownership of what you allow to grow in your mind. If you nurture excuses, you limit yourself. If you nurture fear, you hesitate. But when you nurture discipline, you build a mental environment where your goals become non-negotiable. You start to recognize the power of consistent thinking, thoughts that reinforce your strength, your vision, and your potential. When your mind is disciplined, you no longer chase comfort, you chase growth. You no longer get stuck in old patterns, you create new ones that serve your highest goals. And slowly, your life begins to reflect the strength of your inner world. A disciplined mind does not run from challenges. It studies them, confronts them, and uses them as fuel. It sees setbacks not as proof of failure, but as opportunities to reassess, adjust, and rise stronger than before. You gain the ability to separate emotion from action, allowing you to stay committed even when the journey feels long, difficult, or unclear. That mental stability becomes your greatest advantage. When others stop, you continue. When others get distracted, you stay focused. When others doubt, you reinforce your belief through intention and effort. There will be moments when your mind tries to pull you back into old habits, old limitations, or old excuses. That is when discipline becomes essential. Discipline is the voice that tells you to show up when you don't feel like it. It's the strength that keeps you aligned with your purpose when your emotions try to drift. It's the commitment to doing what needs to be done, not what is easy. The more you practice this discipline, the stronger it becomes. And what once felt like a struggle becomes natural. The thoughts that once held you back lose their power. You build a mental armor that protects your focus and amplifies your potential. Transforming your life doesn't begin with huge changes. It begins with the consistent training of your thoughts. Every day you choose to focus on what matters, you reshape your identity. Every day you reject excuses and embrace responsibility, you strengthen your foundation. Every day you replace negativity with purpose, you elevate your state of being. Little by little, your mindset shifts from reactive to deliberate, from overwhelmed to empowered. With a disciplined mind, you start taking actions that align with who you want to become. You stop waiting for motivation and start creating your own momentum. You stop relying on circumstances and build your own direction. You stop doubting and start doing. And each action reinforces your belief that transformation is not just possible, it is inevitable when you control your inner world. Your life is a reflection of your thoughts. If your thoughts are scattered, your results are scattered. If your thoughts are focused, your results become powerful. When you discipline your mind, you gain the ability to control how you respond to stress, how you handle setbacks, and how you pursue your goals. You learn to stay grounded in chaos, committed in difficulty, and patient in growth. That mental strength becomes the foundation for every achievement you pursue. Transformation is not a moment, it is a process. It is built through mental habits, daily decisions, and repeated choices that align with your purpose. When you strengthen your mind, you strengthen your life. You create clarity where there once was confusion. You create direction where there once was hesitation. You create confidence where there once was doubt. And eventually, you look back and realize that the transformation wasn't just in your results, it was within you. Discipline your mind, and you will reshape your actions. Discipline your thoughts, and you will reshape your path. Discipline your focus, and you will reshape your future. The life you want is built from the mind you train. And the moment you choose discipline over distraction, everything begins to change. Mental discipline creates clarity, direction, and the power to stay aligned with your goals because it transforms the way you perceive challenges, opportunities, and your own potential. When your mind is disciplined, you don't get tossed around by impulses, emotions, or momentary distractions. You begin to see what truly matters and what doesn't. You start to filter out noise, confusion, and doubt, allowing your energy to flow toward what actually moves your life forward. Clarity isn't something that appears magically. It is something you create by training your mind to let go of what is irrelevant and focus on what is essential. When your mind is disciplined, you stop reacting and start responding. You don't jump from task to task or from idea to idea. You decide the direction and you stay with it long enough for progress to actually happen. Without mental discipline, Even the strongest dreams remain blurry and unfocused. You may have big goals, but without the mental strength to guide your attention, those goals will stay stuck in your imagination. Discipline sharpens your vision. It helps you define what you want, why you want it, and what you must do to get it. And once that vision becomes clear, you no longer waste energy on doubts, fears, or excuses. Instead, you build a mental environment that supports your success. You create a mindset where intention matters more than impulse, where long-term fulfillment becomes more important than short-term comfort, where your focus is not controlled by the chaos around you, but by the purpose inside you. Direction comes from knowing where to place your attention, and mental discipline gives you the ability to choose that direction intentionally. Every day you are pulled by distractions, notifications, opinions, temptations, and endless demands. Without inner discipline, these distractions decide your path for you. They steal your time, drain your energy, and scatter your progress. But when your mind is disciplined, you take back control. You choose what deserves your attention and what does not. You choose what to engage in and what to ignore. You choose where your time goes, and in doing so, you choose your future. When you discipline your mind, your direction becomes clear, steady, and purposeful because you are no longer driven by impulses. You are driven by intention. Mental discipline is the power that keeps you aligned with your goals even when things get difficult. It is easy to stay committed when everything is flowing smoothly, when motivation is high, when you feel inspired. But what happens on the days when you're tired? What happens when fear appears? What happens when progress feels slow or when you feel overwhelmed? This is where mental discipline becomes your greatest advantage. It gives you the strength to stay steady when your emotions fluctuate. It keeps you aligned with your purpose even when your feelings try to pull you off track. It reminds you of your reasons when your excuses get louder. It grounds you in your commitment when comfort tries to tempt you back into old habits. Mental discipline doesn't remove challenges, but it gives you the power to rise above them. It also builds consistency because it trains you to show up whether you feel like it or not. A disciplined mind doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It creates progress in every moment. It doesn't wait for motivation. It builds momentum through action. Mental discipline teaches you to honor your goals with your behavior, not just with your intentions. It strengthens your ability to keep going, to keep improving, to keep moving forward, even when progress is slow or invisible. It teaches you that the journey is just as important as the destination, because it is in the journey that you develop strength, resilience, and character. Clarity, direction, and alignment are not random gifts. They are the result of mastering your inner world. When you discipline your mind, you understand yourself better. You begin to recognize the thoughts that empower you and the ones that sabotage you. You learn how to quiet the noise inside your own head. You learn how to stay calm in chaos. You learn how to keep your attention on what matters instead of being controlled by distractions that pull you away from your potential. Mental discipline becomes the foundation that supports every goal you pursue. The truth is, your mind can be your greatest enemy or your most powerful ally. When undisciplined, it confuses you, distracts you, and holds you back. But when disciplined, it becomes a tool for growth, focus, and achievement. It becomes the engine that drives your progress. It gives you clarity when others are lost, direction when others are confused, and alignment when others are scattered. Your goals become more than dreams. They become commitments backed by mental strength. And with that strength, you develop the power to stay focused, to stay consistent, and to stay aligned with the path that leads to the life you want. The thoughts you choose to focus on shape your emotions, decisions, and ultimately your outcomes because your mind is the starting point of every action you take, every belief you carry, and every direction you move. Every thought you entertain leaves an imprint. Some thoughts lift you, strengthen you, and push you toward growth. Others weaken you, distract you, or pull you backward. Most people underestimate the power of thought, but your entire life is built on what you repeatedly allow to live in your mind. Your thoughts determine how you feel, and how you feel influences what you do. That chain of influence is constant, whether you notice it or not. When you choose to focus on thoughts that empower you, thoughts of possibility, discipline, courage, and clarity, you create emotions that fuel action and decisions that align with your highest goals. But when you let your mind settle on fear, doubt, or negativity, those thoughts shape emotions that drain your energy and decisions that sabotage your progress. Every emotion begins as a thought. When you repeatedly focus on beliefs like I can improve, I can learn, I can overcome, your body responds with feelings of determination, hope, and strength. These emotions motivate you to take steps forward, even when the path is difficult. They help you stay patient when results are slow and confident when obstacles appear. On the other hand, if you constantly focus on thoughts like, I'm not enough, I always fail, or things will never change, your emotional state collapses. You feel discouraged, anxious, or helpless. Those feelings don't stay inside, they spill into your actions, affecting the choices you make and the opportunities you're willing to pursue. This is why mastering the thoughts you focus on is essential. It determines the emotional environment you live in every day. Your decisions are a direct reflection of your internal dialogue. When your mind is filled with empowering thoughts, your decisions become bold, intentional, and aligned with your future rather than your fears. You start choosing habits that support your goals instead of habits that comfort your weaknesses. You decide to take action instead of procrastinating. You decide to learn instead of avoiding challenges. You decide to grow instead of staying in the same cycle. Every decision you make, big or small, is influenced by the thoughts you gave your attention to earlier. Your thoughts become the blueprint your life follows. The outcomes you experience today are the result of the thoughts you focused on yesterday. If you constantly choose thoughts that lift you, challenge you, and guide you toward your best self, you begin to shape a future that reflects strength and purpose. You see opportunities where others see problems. You find solutions where others see obstacles. You persist where others quit. This isn't luck. It's the result of training your mind to prioritize thoughts that align with the life you want. The more you repeat those thoughts, the more they shape your identity, your belief system, and your behavior. And the more they influence the results you create. Your mind works in patterns. Whatever you focus on becomes easier to think again. This is why choosing your thoughts is not a one-time decision, it is a daily practice. If you feed your mind negativity, it grows stronger. If you feed it doubt, it becomes louder. But if you feed it disciplined, empowering, and aligned thoughts, those thoughts grow into mental strength. They turn into habits of focus. They create confidence from the inside out. And once you build that foundation, your outcomes begin to shift naturally because your mind is no longer working against you, it is working for you. Thoughts are powerful because they influence how you interpret your experiences. Two people can face the same situation and feel completely different emotions based on the thoughts they attach to it. One person sees a challenge and thinks, this will make me stronger, while another sees the same challenge and thinks, this is too much for me. One moves forward with resilience, the other pulls back in fear. The situation didn't decide the outcome, their thoughts did. This is why choosing your focus matters more than anything happening around you. Your internal world shapes your external world. The more intentional you become about choosing your thoughts, the more control you gain over your life. You stop being reactive, you stop being controlled by impulses or old habits. You begin to direct your mind the same way a captain directs a ship, with purpose, clarity, and intention. You choose thoughts that support your goals, fuel your confidence, and strengthen your discipline. And in doing so, you create emotions that empower you, decisions that move you forward, and outcomes that reflect your highest potential. Your thoughts are not just ideas passing through your mind, they are the seeds of your future. Whatever you focus on grows. Whatever you allow to repeat becomes part of your identity. And whatever becomes part of your identity eventually shapes the direction of your life. When you consciously choose thoughts that align with who you want to become, you begin to build a future that reflects that version of yourself. You gain emotional strength, mental clarity, and the power to make decisions that elevate your life instead of limiting it. This is why mastering your focus is one of the most important steps in transforming your life. Your thoughts are the starting point of every success you create, every breakthrough you experience, and every change you make. When you choose them wisely, you build not just a stronger mindset, but a stronger life. Training your mind daily builds resilience, self-control, and the ability to rise above distractions because the mind, just like the body, becomes stronger through repetition, challenge, and intentional practice. Most people assume mental strength is something a person either has or doesn't have, but the truth is that it is built over time through daily choices, habits, and disciplines that sharpen your focus and improve your emotional stability. When you commit to training your mind, even in small ways, you gradually develop an inner strength that allows you to handle pressure, overcome setbacks, and stay committed to your goals no matter what distractions or obstacles show up. Resilience grows when you repeatedly choose to push through discomfort instead of escaping it. Every time you face a challenge and refuse to quit, you reinforce a powerful message in your mind, I can handle this. That message becomes part of your identity. Resilience isn't built in calm, easy moments. It's built when things get tough and you choose to stay present, stay focused, and keep moving forward. Mental training teaches you to see obstacles not as signs to stop, but as opportunities to grow. When you train your mind daily, you give yourself the strength to bounce back faster, adapt better, and rise higher than before. Self-control is another skill that develops through consistent mental training. Without training, the mind naturally gravitates toward comfort, avoidance, and distraction. It seeks the easiest path and the quickest reward. But when you deliberately practice controlling your thoughts, decisions, and impulses, you strengthen the part of your mind that leads instead of follows. Simple practices, such as setting boundaries for your time, choosing not to react emotionally, or delaying gratification, train your mind to obey your long-term goals instead of your short-term impulses. Over time, those small acts of control build into powerful discipline. They influence everything you do, how you work, how you respond to stress, how you pursue your ambitions, and how you show up in the world. Daily mental training also sharpens your ability to rise above distractions. In a world full of noise, notifications, opinions, temptations, and endless entertainment, your ability to stay focused is one of your greatest advantages. When you train your mind to return to the task, to stay committed to one direction, or to remain present in the moment, you take back control from the outside forces competing for your attention. You strengthen your ability to say no, your ability to stay centered, and your ability to keep your energy aligned with what truly matters. This is not something that happens by accident. It happens through repeated practice. The more you train your mind, the more aware you become of your patterns. You start noticing when you drift, when your emotions try to take over, or when you begin to slip into old habits. That awareness is a form of power. It gives you the space to pause, redirect, and choose differently. Without mental training, people react unconsciously, allowing emotions or distractions to dictate their behavior. But with training, you develop the ability to respond intentionally, even under pressure. Your mind becomes steadier, clearer, and more grounded. Training your mind daily also builds confidence. Every time you follow through on a difficult task, hold your focus, or rise above a distraction, you prove to yourself that you are in control. Confidence doesn't come from pretending everything is easy. It comes from knowing you can handle what's not easy. Mental training gives you that certainty. You learn to trust yourself more, respect yourself more, and rely on your own discipline instead of motivation alone. This self-trust becomes a powerful force that carries you through challenges and keeps you anchored in your purpose. Another important part of mental training is learning to create stillness within yourself. When you practice mindfulness, intentional breathing, reflection, or journaling, you strengthen your ability to stay calm in chaos. That calmness is a form of resilience. It allows you to think clearly when others panic, to stay grounded when things feel overwhelming, and to move with intention instead of reacting out of fear or frustration. This internal calm doesn't mean you avoid challenges. It means you face them with clarity instead of confusion. Distractions lose their power over you when your mind learns to stay committed to your priorities. You begin to recognize which distractions are harmless and which are harmful. You understand the cost of losing focus, and you start guarding your attention with greater seriousness. Your mind becomes like a muscle that you've trained through repetition and discipline. It becomes stronger, more efficient, and more capable of staying locked into what matters most. Ultimately, training your mind daily is an act of empowerment. It is you choosing to take control of your inner world rather than letting the world control you. It is you deciding what deserves your focus, what deserves your energy, and what deserves your time. When you build that discipline, you rise above distractions, not because the world becomes quieter, but because your mind becomes stronger. You build resilience, not because life becomes easier, but because you become more capable. And you build self-control, not because temptations disappear, but because you gain the power to choose differently. Daily mental training transforms the way you think, behave, and live. It shapes your identity, strengthens your discipline, and reinforces your purpose. It gives you the clarity to move forward, the stability to handle challenges, and the strength to stay committed to your goals. Over time, this training becomes the foundation for personal growth, success, and lasting transformation. Your mind becomes your greatest ally, and your life begins to reflect the power and discipline you have built from within. A disciplined mind becomes the foundation for lasting transformation in every area of life, because everything you create, achieve, and experience begins with the way you think. When your mind is undisciplined, your actions become inconsistent, your emotions become unstable, and your direction becomes unclear. But when your mind is trained, focused, and controlled, you gain the power to shape your life with intention instead of drifting through it. A disciplined mind influences how you work, how you respond to challenges, how you build relationships, how you pursue your goals, and how you handle setbacks. It becomes the anchor that keeps you steady and the engine that drives you forward. Transformation is not an accident. It is a result of intentional choices repeated over time, and those choices come from your mind. When your thoughts are disciplined, you consistently choose what aligns with your purpose instead of what brings temporary comfort. You choose habits that support your growth instead of habits that slow you down. You choose to push through difficulties instead of giving in to frustration. Your mind sets the tone for your entire life, and when it becomes disciplined, every area of your life begins to rise to a higher standard. A disciplined mind gives you clarity. It helps you see what truly matters and filters out the noise that distracts you. When you have clarity, you make better decisions. You stop wasting time on unnecessary distractions and start focusing on what moves you forward. Clarity gives you direction, and direction gives you the power to create meaningful progress. Without a disciplined mind, everything feels scattered. You jump between tasks, chase impulses, and struggle to stay committed. But with discipline, your thoughts become organized, purposeful, and aligned with your future. A disciplined mind also strengthens emotional stability. Instead of being controlled by stress, frustration, or doubt, you learn to pause, observe, and respond with intention. You become less reactive and more grounded. Challenges stop feeling like threats and start feeling like opportunities to grow. Emotional discipline allows you to remain calm under pressure, think clearly during chaos, and stay centered even when life becomes overwhelming. That emotional strength becomes a major advantage in everything you do: relationships, work, personal goals, and daily responsibilities. In your work and personal ambitions, a disciplined mind determines how consistent you are. Success is built on repeated effort, not occasional motivation. When your mind is disciplined, you show up even when you don't feel like it. You follow your routine even when it's uncomfortable. You stick to your commitments because you understand the long-term impact. This consistency creates momentum, and momentum leads to breakthroughs. People often admire results, but the real force behind those results is a mind that refuses to settle or get distracted. Transformation also requires resilience, and a disciplined mind makes you resilient. It teaches you to bounce back from setbacks, to maintain focus despite obstacles, and to keep moving forward even when progress feels slow. Instead of collapsing under pressure, you learn to adjust, adapt, and continue. A disciplined mind protects you from discouragement because it understands that growth is a long-term process. You become more patient with the journey and more persistent with your efforts. Every relationship in your life benefits from a disciplined mind as well. You communicate with more intention, listen with more presence, and control your emotions more effectively. Discipline helps you avoid unnecessary conflicts, choose your words with care, and bring a calmer presence into your interactions. It allows you to build trust, respect, and understanding, qualities that strengthen every meaningful connection you have. Your habits and lifestyle also transform when your mind becomes disciplined. You stop falling into patterns that drain your energy or keep you stuck. You begin choosing routines that support your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. You invest your time more wisely. You make decisions based on purpose, not impulse. Little by little, these changes reshape your entire life. Small habits, when guided by a disciplined mind, compound into major transformation. A disciplined mind gives you the power to rise above excuses. Excuses lose their strength when your thoughts are aligned with your goals. You stop letting circumstances dictate your progress. You stop waiting for the right moment. You stop allowing fear or laziness to influence your behavior. Instead, you build a mindset that is stronger than temporary discomfort, stronger than doubt, and stronger than any distraction. Over time, a disciplined mind becomes your identity. It becomes who you are, not just what you practice. And when discipline becomes part of who you are, transformation becomes inevitable. It spills into every area: your health, your career, your relationships, your confidence, your character, and your purpose. You begin to live with more intention, more control, and more strength. Lasting transformation is never built on wishful thinking or occasional effort. It is built on steady, consistent mental discipline. When your mind becomes disciplined, your life takes on a new shape. You think better, you feel better, you act better, and you achieve better. Your potential becomes clearer, your direction becomes stronger, and your results become a reflection of the inner strength you've developed. A disciplined mind is the silent force behind every success story, every breakthrough, and every long-term transformation. When you master your mind, you gain the foundation to build a life of purpose, power, and lasting change.